connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your healthcare? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
Well, all right. It's Thursday night, which means it's time for Jen and Rick. You guys thought I was about to say Robinson and Rick, because that's usually how I open Fridays. I'm like having flashbacks and sad ones, because last week this was my Friday, and Jen and I were just talking about that off the air. I really need a 3-day weekend again, and anyway. It's a short month. I shouldn't complain. I think part of what has me upset is everywhere else in the place that I work, they're about to get a really long 2-week break, and I only get 2 days here and there, and I'm just like, something about that isn't cool. But whatever. All right, so lots of stuff to talk about, so enough of hearing me whine about my job and lack of time off, etc. Because anyway, nobody cares. But so lots of things going on in the news, and actually there was so much going on in the news I could almost not fit it in the pre-show tweet. So for the title of the show, all I did was put all we can say is what, and I did it the way Jen usually says it, but I can't do it as good as she did. So anyway, there we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, so things have gone nuts. The DNC's imploding. There's now, the one of the biggest talking points about this whole Uranium One thing is, that supposedly the uranium never left the country. Now it turns out that may or may not be true either, because apparently there was some sort of a back channel deal, or some of it may have gone to Canada, some of it may have gone to Europe, some of it may have even gone to, I believe they said, Shanghai. So I don't know. It's just kind of funny watching the DNC implode, because it's like the Netflix folds on the House of Cards in the same weeks the DNC's House of Cards implodes. So whatever.
Well, and part of this big implosion is this pretty. I don't want to call it a hit piece, but it kind of is a hit piece. But it's an expose for sure by former DNC chair Donna Brazile about Hillary Clinton. It hits Clinton, it hits Obama, it hits Wasserman Schultz, it hits all the big players in the Democratic Party for the last I don't know how many years, at least the last 5 years. Hits the financial officer of Hillary's campaign. And she basically just said, it's rigged. And, I have a little bit of a hard time. The piece is actually, I can't even believe she wrote it, honestly. It really exposes a lot of stuff it confirms a lot of things that we already assumed, but it confirms a lot of stuff, and it really takes some swipes at people that, you would probably think. We don't typically think of Democrats turning on each other like this, and especially not in the public and when they can give Republicans fodder to use. So it's really interesting. But I also have a hard time with this woman who is acting, who's clutching her pearls so hard, yet she had no problem. She has a problem with there being some sort of rigged situation and possibly unethical dealings within the DNC on the Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton side, but she sees no problem with feeding Hillary debate questions and having her be more prepared than Trump was in those debates. So I'm not really sure where why she's on this moral high horse, but I was glad to see it all out in the open and for her to basically put the final nail in the coffin of the Clinton political dynasty.
Actually, I think she officially threw a bucket of water on the Wicked Witch of D.C. But I have my own take on this, and this is something that I've been thinking about as soon as the story broke today. The DNC has a habit of disposing of people that they no longer find useful. To steal something from a children's song, the wheels on the bus go squish, squish, squish all over hills. She's not useful to them anymore. Neither is Barack Obama, because I mean they're outing him to the point where they basically admitted the fact that he raided the DNC's coffers. She stole an election. Bernie Sanders was suckered and went along with it anyway. So they're trying to clean house at this point, and the only way they can do it at this point, because they're bleeding from multiple artery wounds, they have to cauterize them. They don't have anything to stand on right now. They don't have anything to stand for. I mean, they're the party of socialism. They're the party of killing children, and they're the party of everybody that we trusted stole from us and stole an election. So vote for us in 2020, please. That's not going to work.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, though, and I think. Unfortunately, at the very beginning, they were all in the thick of rehashing because I think they really thought somehow they could get this election voided. I think that they really just could not get over the fact that Hillary had lost, and they rehashed it from every angle for as long as they could. And I think we're moving into a time now where at least the grown-ups in the party are pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, dusting their butts off and saying, all right, it doesn't matter because what's done is done. She lost, we bet horribly, and now we've got to look to the future. And I don't necessarily think that they mean that future as in like young, as in new blood. I mean, because they're still looking at Warren and Sanders. But I do think that they're ready to move on from Hillary, and she keeps popping up every few days in the media with some new reason why she didn't win, or with some new, little clever quip about the state of affairs or Trump or something or other, and and it's just getting more and more pathetic. And this last round, I even saw quite a few liberal journalists go, all right, hang it up. I mean, enough is enough. We can only take so much. And so I think you're right. They need to move on from her. And now they kind of have to crush her in order to be able to do so, because she's still representing them in the media on a regular basis.
Do you remember when the Clintons were like the scariest people in politics?
Yeah.
I mean, like, bodies would disappear around these people. And now we've got their own parties just turning on them and like, okay, it's time for you guys to go. And I think, honestly, this is probably what happened. This probably played out in a closed-door meeting somewhere where somebody probably sat down with Hillary and said, look, you lost. You just turned 70. We need to move on. And you keep showing up in the news. We all know what you did. So you have a choice. You can go away quietly, or we can make you go away. And I don't think they realized how stubborn she was, because she still has it in her mind that she's going to make a run for 2020, even though at this point they seem to be eyeing Warren, and I think there was one other person that I've heard thinking about throwing their hat in the ring. I think it was actually Waters. Please, for the love of God, let those two run. I'm just saying. But, maybe Bernie will try again. Now, Bernie's scary, and I think that's one of the reasons why they tried so hard to push the election towards Hillary. Not necessarily because it was her time, because in their mind, at least in Hillary's mind it was, she felt owed. So I think she twisted a lot of arms and broke a few legs to get where she was in that last election cycle, and it still didn't pay off for her. She called in every bit of political clout she had and left them nothing to show for it, so now they're crumpling her up and throwing her away like the used discarded ragdoll that she is. Which, in some ways, honestly, I know people are going to hate me for saying this, but right now, this second, I actually pity Hillary Clinton just a little bit. It's not much. It's not enough that it matters, but to put everything you've got into something to the point where you're willing to lie, cheat, steal, and kill to get there, and you just don't quite get there. That's gotta suck. And now your own party's like, get the hell out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's, it's kind of sad almost. It's not because of who it is, but I just mean, here you have done all of this for so long. You've made yourself pretty much, the queen bee of the Democratic Party. Obviously her husband was revered by the Democrats, and not only that, but she fell on the sword a couple times in order to wait her turn and to let the National Committee decide, do what they wanted to do and push things the way they wanted to. And now all she's getting is a knife in the back, and it's quite a sight to see.
Oh, no, dear, this isn't a knife in the back. They are publicly stabbing her right square in her chest to her face.
I guess that's true. I'm just more thinking of they're stabbing in her back as they're pushing her out the door from behind.
Oh, no. She's turning towards them, grabbing a hold of them while they're trying to push her out the door, and they're frantically stabbing her like Michael Myers. And she's still the candidate that won't die. And I think that's why it's come to this, because she just would not. I mean, because when you
won't go away.
When you started hearing the really, really left leaning people talk trash about her and her book and how she just needs to go away, that's when I knew she was in trouble. It's one thing to hear the right leaning folks say it. We've known that we didn't like her for a very long time. We've known exactly how crooked the Clintons were, and we've told everybody for decades how crooked the Clintons were. Nobody wanted to listen to us now, or till now, but they're all listening now. But, it's different when it starts coming from the other side, because, all of a sudden, and this is the same thing that I feel like kind of Trump went through when he became president. Everybody that was his friends 5 seconds ago are all trying to stab him in the back and make political points by talking about the fact that he's unhinged and deranged and everything else. And now she's facing much the same thing from people that up until 30 seconds ago were, at least as far as she was concerned, friends and confidants, except I'm pretty sure she lied, cajoled, bribed, and stole from them to get their support too, and it just didn't pay off for them, and they're done with her.
Yeah, I mean that's right. And I mean, to be fair, if I was a Democrat too, I would be sitting here going, go away, just shut up, just stop doing these interviews. Their little thing on how, like, what would you be throwing? I would be the president. Like, just stop. It's just desperate, and it's old, and it's tired, and we need to move on. And it's not just the Democrats that need to move on. We all need to move on. I'm so sick of all the Hillary memes, and I'm sick of people still butt-Hillarying their way through everything. So I'm ready for her to completely go. But I can't imagine how it is if you're a pretty, level-headed Democrat, that you must just be wanting to rip your hair out about her not being able to let go and step away gracefully and not dominate your party so much, or the talk around your party.
This was every centrist in America when Hillary went on her book tour.
My God, are you still talking?
And this was every centrist in America when she started going on TV to talk about her book tour and how she should be president.
Just when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
And now, because of the fact that she wouldn't show up, they've thrown her under the bus.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just, I mean, and again, it's not like I'm really sad about it. It's just, as somebody that's, worked my tail off to build companies before and put everything I've had into them, I know what it's like when you push and push and push and suddenly everything falls apart right underneath your feet when you thought everything was going well. So, I mean, I can empathize even if I'm over here doing the happy dance. You just can't see it because I do radio, not TV.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I guess enough of the victory lap. I don't really want to talk too much about this next topic, but because it's going to be one of the main topics that Claude wants to bring up on the next show, on the next hour. But I thought we should point out the fact that, well, actually, I'm going to steal something that I heard from Chad Alexander today on KOKC. He actually did a mic drop on my way home, and I thought it was pretty amazing, because the story was just coming out about the company that's moving their headquarters to back to the U.S., and also the fact that the Congress is moving forward to... honestly, it kind of sounds like Congress jacked Ted Cruz's idea, because apparently if the tax code reforms and everything they're talking about passes, it'll be almost like Ted Cruz always talked about, where you could basically do your taxes on a postcard. So Chad had a bit of a mic drop, because after they listened to all the audio of it, which we won't be playing on this show because I promised Claude we would play it on the next one, he said, Donald Trump is probably the only president that I've ever seen that everybody's threatening to impeach him while he's trying to do everything that he said he was going to do. He's bringing jobs back to America, trying to cut taxes, trying to fix health care, but can't get any support from anybody, and yet everybody wants to impeach him.
Uh-oh. Sorry. I did the stupid mute thing.
You did the mute thing and forgot you were muted. She's all like, yeah, what? They can't hear me. We've all done it. It's okay.
Now I don't even remember what I was going to say. That distracted me.
Oh, look, shiny.
Yeah.
So I mean, the funny thing is, notice how the positive stuff that happens with Trump really doesn't get any news coverage. They're also not talking about the fact that there is a state senator, or actually a national senator in New Jersey, that is going through criminal charges right now, who happens to be a Democrat. If this was a Republican, it would be at the top of every news cycle every hour until he was found guilty, and then they would do a victory lap for a month about the fact that a Republican was guilty of something. But nobody's talking about this. The one thing that's good about that for us is because if this person is convicted, they will be removed. Krispy Kreme Christie, who happens to in name only be a Republican, will then at that point be able to appoint a senator who should at least in title be Republican, and that would give the Senate 53 votes instead of 52, which should push us closer to finally being able to get things done. Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
I said maybe.
Right. I don't know. I have so little faith when it comes to things like that. But I was going to say, yeah, I mean, some of this I think is because about, not reporting the good things from the Trump administration. Some of that I think, is some of that media bias, but some of it is just that media is such, infotainment now, and the good stuff doesn't sell unless it's like a rescue dog with 3 legs that's like jumping through the snow, or some kid that does something amazing to raise a bunch of money for other kids, or something like that. The regular everyday good news type stories especially coming out of DC, never really make it because they need the drama, and they thrive off of the gloom and doom. And so I'm not sure how much of it is really bias, and some of it's just the way the news industry is now.
I got distracted by something. First of all, I didn't know that Twitter had an account called Twitter Government, but
I just saw that for the first time today too.
But
what the hell?
But apparently, earlier today, real Donald Trump's account was inadvertently deactivated due to human error by a Twitter employee. This account was down for 11 minutes and has since been restored. At this point, they were continuing the investigation. That was at, actually, that one doesn't have the timestamp on it. But then they quote tweeted it at 9 p.m. and said, "Through our investigation, we have learned that this was done by a Twitter customer support employee who did this on the employee's last day. We are conducting a full internal review."
I knew it because they were like, inadvertently. I went, yeah, right. They don't just inadvertently do this. Someone did that on purpose. Absolutely, someone did that on purpose, and then I got it restored.
The funny thing about this is this happens on the very day that all these things are coming out about how far crazy left-leaning Facebook and Twitter are after they've been sitting up on the Hill being grilled for the last couple of days, and everybody's like, "Holy crap, these places really are kind of leftist bastions after all." And we're like, "Told you." The dude on his last day says "F you, Donald Trump," and flips off his account. Come on now.
I mean, whatever happened, I don't even care what story they come up with. Someone did it on purpose.
I don't know. I'm with Comfortably Smug. His first question is, why in the hell would you make this info public?
Well, right. I wouldn't say that either.
I'd have just been like, yeah.
I can't believe they just didn't leave it as that, like, inadvertently, accidentally. Oh, it was a human error.
I don't even think I would have gone with human error. I'd have been like, dude, Skynet.
I mean, I don't know. It's so obvious that this was done on purpose, and they're just, it's not a good look to keep feeding us more information on the subject.
So now, and then it's about time for us to take a break, but we've got probably enough time to touch on this, because I want everybody to think about something for just a second. If Hillary was so desperate to become president that she so believed this was her time, and nobody was going to keep her from it, she was desperate enough to rig a primary election, all these other things that are just now starting to come out, what wouldn't she do to sabotage Trump at this point, since he's president and she's not?
I don't know.
I'm just asking, because everybody keeps talking about how we need to keep riding out this Russiagate thing, even though every time we follow it down the rabbit hole takes a sharp turn and goes right back to Hillary. So, I mean, how much of this has been her? Because she's pissed off because, I mean, you have to understand, from her perspective, this has to really, really sting, because Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton used to be friends. Donald Trump and Bill Clinton used to be friends. So this to me takes on a whole new level, with us understanding now exactly how corrupted that primary system was in 2016. I am willing to bet that at this point, most of this stuff that's going on that they keep trying to throw at Donald Trump, because every time we chase it, where does it go back to?
Well, yeah, I mean, it always turns left.
I mean, and again, I'm not, but see, this is what scares me about all of that. Is at this point, we have a special prosecutor who has very broad latitude, who is probably, because it was around the same time frame that he was director of the FBI, I'm sure he's probably somehow, some way, mixed up in Uranium-1, and now he's got 3 people dangling on a hook, and all he's got to do is get one of them to flip, and I don't even think he cares if they're being honest or not. He just needs somebody to say something. And that's what worries me. I mean, look at this from a human perspective for just a moment. You and I are having a conversation, and I tell you that, you need to say this or else. And you're like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. But then I pull out a gun, point it to your head, and say, okay, you need to say this or else. Well, I'm still not going to do that. So I cock the hammer. Bet you say it then.
Well, right. I mean, it's, I mean, I think, I don't even know what is going to come of all of this.
Well, I'll tell you the only thing that concerns me. We had a similar situation in the 90s where we had a special prosecutor, very broad latitudes, able to dig into a million different things, found compromising information on Bill Clinton, who at that point, and I want to reiterate this point one more time, and I know I do it every time this comes up, as an attorney, or even a former attorney, who wasn't smart enough to take the fifth, wound up being impeached over having an affair. This is what could happen, though.
Yeah.
This is exactly what could happen, though. They could find something that, while it's really no big deal at all, just like the affair really wouldn't have been a big deal, except for the fact that Bill Clinton lived in a fishbowl, and as a former disbarred attorney, wasn't smart enough to say, you know what, I'm going to plead the fifth, and this is a private matter between myself and my wife. Every freshman every first-year law student that I have ever talked to already knows you plead the fifth. So, just saying. And I've given you guys my take on this before. We're not going to go all over it on this show, but there was a lot of other stuff that was coming out in the news right about the time that happened, and I'm pretty sure that's probably one reason why he fell on his sword, which I think is another reason why they felt like the DNC owed them something, and when it didn't come through, and the DNC started trying to distance themselves from them, Hillary just kept making noise about it, because I guarantee you behind closed doors, you owe my husband, because he fell on his sword to keep all this stuff from being front page news in the media. They didn't find out about it until almost 10 years later because of that. And this was my time, and you guys are going to make it good in 2020. And they're like, no, you've lost twice. You're done. And, no, I'm not. Watch this. You're done.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, It's been a fun thing to watch, even if I have only been able to get it in bits and pieces because work has been crazy lately, which makes me really, really sad. I don't know why everything has to be really busy on days when like there's great news stories. Because I can have days when I'm barely doing anything and nothing happens in the news. We're like completely slammed, then my phone's going off every 30 seconds. Oh my God, so and so said this. Oh my God, so and so did that. And I'm like, I can't.
Can't keep up with everything.
I want to be writing stories about this and talking about this instead. And instead, I'm like, gotta take another call.
Yeah, well, it's just been kind of rough out there, though. I will tell you, it's whenever stuff like this happens and there's big things going on in news, that also means that you've got a bunch of they are what I like to call the slows. That is a term coined by at Lunatic Rex on Twitter, one of my faves. But he's actually now Boonatic Rex since he was unjustly suspended and can't get any answers or figure anything out. So he's got a new account. But he calls people that are not normal, he calls people normals and slows. And so I've taken to calling people that. But so days like this tend to bring out a lot of the slows. And the slows are like the liberals that make you want to bang your head against a wall because they can't reason for anything. Or like the super duper Trumpers that also like make you want to hit your head against the wall because they can't reason or rationalize and be rational about anything. And that's really kind of what was coming out a lot, especially today, was a lot of that kind of activity. And they're just like trolling all the posts. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Just like searching terms and trolling? Because I had so many non-followers commenting on my crap today. And I'm like, what? Where are you even getting this? It's not even getting that much traction. So it's not like it's something with 100 retweets. So you probably saw it on a TL. I mean, they're just like coming out of the woodwork to be able to troll people over certain things. And that it's been a little exhausting. I've muted quite a few conversations.
Did Evan McMuffin's account get hacked?
Why? What'd he do?
Trying to see what the timeline is on this. Hang on. I guess that was just like 30 minutes ago. POTUS has the authority to repeal special counsel regulations currently protecting Mueller and then dismiss him. Why? What? That? Who? What? Where did McMuffin go? I'm so confused.
Wait. What?
I'm so confused. I thought he hated Trump. I can't keep up today.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, absolutely. But I guess if you talk to a lot of people on the legal side of things, they do.
Oh, wait, hang on. Never mind. It makes more sense now. Trump Surgan's talking points now. POTUS
talking points.
There we go.
Yeah.
There was a tweet above that one. I missed it. I was like, holy crap. But yeah. All right. So anyway, we really need to take a break now because we're long. When we come back, we're going to change topics a bit. Also, just for fun, I figure when we come back from the break, we should probably talk a little bit about the Astros.
Yes! I'd love to.
We'll be right back here in about, what was that one? About 3 minutes.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Alright, folks, well, lucky for you, you only heard dead air on your side. Jen just got an earful of me trying to move the slider while we were playing a live clip because it was in the wrong place. But anyway, we are back, we are live, and that's why you heard about 5 seconds of dead air while I was trying to get things to work right. As promised, we're going to take a break from politics, probably for at least a good portion of this segment, because we got to talk about the Astros, who did an amazing thing this season. They have never before now won a World Series. They managed to do it in an amazing. I didn't actually get to watch all of the games, but what I did get to see of them were amazing. These guys were coming from behind, just slamming. Every time I turned on a highlight reel, it was home run after home run after home run. And then last night, to basically just dominate in the seventh game was just I really wish I hadn't have been producing and editing and getting ready to do a show, because I really kind of wanted to go back and watch it now.
Yeah, it was so cool. Everyone knows I'm in Texas, but a weird thing happens with those of us that don't live in one of the major metroplexes that have these two professional teams. So there's the Rangers in the DFW area, and then there's the Astros in the Houston area. And for everyone else in Texas that isn't, very closely connected to one of those hubs, we end up, and especially because for until 5 years ago, so for my entire life, they were in separate leagues. One was in the National League and one was in the American League, and they just recently got moved to the same league, or the Astros got moved over to the same league as the Rangers. And so as kids growing up, we idolized both. We were obsessed with both. We loved the Astros. We loved the Rangers. We knew players on the team. We knew them by name. We would watch them. My brother and I would come home after school and watch some of the games and score keep. And we got taken to both games at various times when we were lucky. A couple of times throughout our childhood, we got taken to taken to Houston to see the Astros play, and then we got taken to Dallas to see the Rangers play. So there really was a lot of, it's, I guess, kind of split devotion, and not even split loyalty. It was just loyalty to both. So, now there's like a divide because we're in the same division, and so all that's got to go that way. But it is just really cool. I tend to have a few more ties with the Rangers now than I do with the Astros, but it was just such a neat thing to see, and I was so excited. The games were so much fun, and I love baseball anyways, and I watch a lot of it throughout the year, or throughout the season. But these games, their series with the Yankees and then the World Series were just really something else. And it's really cool too because so many of these players, there's just so many good stories out of that team. That's just makes it that much easier to root for them and to be happy for these guys who just kind of went and did the impossible, because several years ago they were one of the worst teams in baseball. They had terrible records, and everyone was kind of predicting that if they could groom some of these young players that they had, that they would be a force to be reckoned with in the future. And, everyone now knows about the infamous Sports Illustrated cover that actually predicted they would be the 2017 World Series champions. But it seemed like a long time. I mean, it did not feel like it was happening. It did not feel like it was going to get there. And so it's just really such an accomplishment, and by some really great guys that worked very hard.
Yeah, what was kind of amazing to me, because, I have to admit I wasn't aware of this until I think it was probably after game 2. I have a friend who I actually went to elementary school with from 4th and 5th grade, and then I moved away, and then I came back my freshman year in high school, and we never really reconnected again, so I never really got a chance to get to know him as a young man, and we haven't really kept up since grade school days. But he's always been somebody that I've thought about from time to time, because we used to play sports together, and he was actually one of the people that helped me get through a pretty bad time in my life. In the 4th grade, the first time I went through 4th grade, my parents got divorced. I completely tanked in school that year. I got held back. And then I met some people that became really good friends for 4th and 5th grade. I've kept up with some of them. Unfortunately, he wasn't one of them, but he happens to be AJ Hinch. And when I'd kept up with his career a little bit when I realized that he had at some point put down football and picked up baseball. And last I heard, he was playing for the Diamondbacks and at some point was managing for the Diamondbacks, but I had thought that he had retired. And then all of a sudden I'm driving to work and I hear on one of the news updates that manager AJ Hinch of the Astros has this comment about Game 2, and all of a sudden I'm like, no way is that the AJ Hinch that I know. And the funny thing is I heard him talk and I'm like, yep, that's him, because his voice is different, but it's not that much different than when we were kids. And it just dawned on me that I actually know somebody who's managing a baseball team that was playing for the World Series and now has actually won the World Series. And the funny thing is I joked with him all the time because we used to play grade school football together, we played basketball together, and I think we were on the same baseball team for a bit. Some of it's still kind of hazy because we're talking 4th and 5th grade. But I always joked with him that one of these days he was going to be somebody that would make history in sports. I just didn't realize he would do it as a manager, not a player. But it's still fun to think
so
about.
Funny. Well, there's also, I don't know, there's like so many things. Altuve was he's the really short guy that everybody like cracks up, but he's like one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's just he's just dynamic and such a force to be reckoned with. And he was living in Venezuela. I mean, he was born and grew up in Venezuela, and the Astros do a basically kind of like a camp there, and they were taking an open tryout for their farm leagues, and he was 16 and he went to go try out and they turned him away. They didn't believe that you were allowed to try out at 16. And they turned him away, and he had to come back with his birth certificate and with his dad to prove that he was 16 because they didn't believe him. They thought he was like 11 or 12. And then they pretty much signed him immediately with a $15,000 bonus, which you can guess what that means for a Venezuelan of that, at that time. So now even worse. But and so he worked really hard, and lots of people still told him like he could never be a major leaguer. Like he would be one of the shortest to have ever actually gone professional, and none of them, or if he made it to the show, that he would be one of the shortest ones to ever make it. And of those ones that did, hardly any of them really played much. So a lot of adversity kind of in that way. And he just kept swinging that bat, and he actually ended up completely skipping the AAA team and being called up in the middle of the summer several years ago. And it's like, look at what happened ever since. So it's just those kinds of stories that are really cool. Like George Springer, who was the MVP, and he's the one that was really just had such a hot bat that it stayed hot and consistent the entire time. Home run and a double last night, among another, also another hit later. But when you think about it, like he grew up, he like withdrew completely pretty much from society because he had a bad stutter. And he just started becoming an introvert, and he stopped talking. And his parents, put him in a smaller school, like forced him to push through, and he kept playing baseball. And that was kind of his saving grace, was that he could speak in a different language when he was playing baseball without having to worry about his stutter. And he's pushed through that. And so now he is the spokesman for say.org, which is it's an awareness and an organization for youth that stutters, that struggle with speech impediments and stuttering. And he hosts overnight camps and all sorts of other stuff. It's just really, really neat. Just a cool story about how he just kept going and, overcoming something that's so devastating to a young kid. And then, and so then it's just also really cool because so many stats and so many records broken and all sorts of things like that. But this one was my favorite. Players to homer in 4 straight World Series games. 1, Yankees, Lou Gehrig. 2, Yankees, Reggie Jackson. Guess who the only other person on that list was? George Springer of the 2017 Astros. That is some pretty awesome company to be in.
Actually, hang on. I'm trying to see if I can find confirmation on something, but I just had something flash across my screen that the lawyer representing the Las Vegas Music Festival massacre survivors and Jason Aldean may have just been found dead.
What?
I'm looking for an article on it now. Hang on. And of course, my computer starts freezing up. Hang on.
Okay, you know that there have been multiple other people that have died that survived that attack.
Yeah, I'm really, I don't want to try to sound like tinfoil hat dude, but I'm really starting to think there's something else going on, because I was like, wasn't there some lady that survived that like just died like kind of weirdly the other day?
Yeah, and there was a couple that had been, pretty widely interviewed and some of their posts had gone viral. They're so blessed and thankful that they survived the attack, and they were killed in a car accident together at the same time. There's been, I think, one that was ruled a suicide, and then someone was murdered. At least one of them has been ruled a homicide. So it's just kind of it's really good. I know when you have that many people at something, I mean, obviously, like within the next few years, some of those people are going to die. It just seems so sudden. And it seems really, I don't know, it's because we know so little about all of this anyways. It just totally has my alarm bells going off.
Hang on a second. I found some audio, I think.
November 2nd, 2017. I'm back here at yournewswire.com. As you can see, the title reads, Lawyer for Las Vegas Music Festival and Jason Aldean found dead. This article was just posted. Orville Allman, the lawyer representing the Route 91 Music Festival, and Jason Aldean, the singer on stage when the Las Vegas shooting began, has been found dead. He was 66 years old. Allman, a prominent Nashville attorney, opened his private practice, Allman Law, in 2010, where he represented musicians and entertainment industry organizations during battles with the law. While his practice including renegotiating existing agreements and new technology issues, and was renowned for negotiating with law enforcement, recent social media posts suggested that the experienced attorney was feeling the strain of his latest high-profile case, describing meetings with MGM, Las Vegas police, and the FBI as incredibly strange and complex to one of his friends on recently made private Facebook threads. The attorney was privy to inside information that the FBI, by announcing they are no longer holding press conferences and the investigation is closed, have chosen to withhold from the public. Orville Allman, known as a straight shooting attorney.
Okay, that doesn't really go into it much, but I have actually found a couple of articles now that I found that, so it's kind of looking like that may be legit.
Wow, it says here that his death is described as seizure during sleep, which is similar to that of Kimberly Shikomo of California, who was also a shooting survivor who was found dead in her home hours after her husband left for work.
Anybody ever watch the show Blacklist? Just saying.
Yeah. Last week we reported the death of Danny Contreras, another Las Vegas local who had been contradicting the official narrative that only one shooter fired on the crowd. Mr. Contreras tweeted the day after the attacks that he was lucky to be alive after he was chased by gunmen. Blah, 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 blah. Wow. And then the couple who survived, and they said they were speaking out about lies being pushed on the official narrative. They were engulfed by flames in their car just meters from their home in Las Vegas.
Yeah. I see. Like I said, there have been problems for me with this from the get-go, because, I mean, first of all, if you look at the height, the build, the age of the supposed shooter, dude's older than me, built about the same as me, and he's supposed to be running back and forth between two windows, popping in clips and popping off rounds, not in automatic weapons, but in something that's basically pounding the crap out of his shoulder every time to fire the weapon. The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. And now, there's all these different stories that try to come out, and people say this and they say that, and I get it, it's all speculation and everything else, but you're telling me now that we've had 2 deaths within, about a month of each other that are very similar? And
yeah, and then it just gets even weirder. There was a guy that the FBI was looking to question about a device that was found in Paddock's hotel room, and he killed himself and his disabled daughter in a murder-suicide. The couple was right outside of their home, and they crashed into the gate that they drive through all the time. That's a 30-mile-an-hour zone, and their car suddenly bursts into flames, and it takes firefighters over an hour to put it out. This is just weird. It's just weird, and I know it kind of gets easy to go down that rabbit hole, but something is not right to me.
Yeah, it hasn't set right with me for a bit. And we kind of got off track for some of the topics tonight, but I did enjoy the discussion about the Astros before we started looking into things, and all of a sudden I had breaking stuff going all over my newsfeed. Anything else you want to touch on? Because we're getting to about the time when we got to start considering wrapping things up, because we got another one on right behind us.
Yeah, I guess not really anything off the top of my head. Trump shouldn't have tweeted about the death penalty today, but whatever.
Yeah, well. Oh, actually, that does remind me of 2 quick things. I don't remember the name of the person who tweeted it, but I actually saw somebody today who was complaining because, Donald Trump was tweeting about the death penalty for the dude from New York City, but he wasn't asking for the death penalty for the Vegas shooter. So what were we supposed to do? Dig him up reanimate him and kill him all over
yes,
again.
and I found another one that did that too. I found an actual like blue check that did the same thing.
And I'm just like, so I mean, you guys do realize he was already dead, right? So what? I mean, are we supposed to like reanimate him and kill him again? Because I've seen that movie; it doesn't go well. And
right,
then,
I said the same thing. I was like, I'm sorry, maybe it's because he's dead? Like, what are you thinking? Of course.
And then, one other thing that I definitely wanted to touch on. So Netflix is folding House of Cards because apparently it's come out that Kevin Spacey's a bit of a pedophile creep. And then Slate jumps the shark and tries to say it's not all bad.
Yeah, well, that's pretty par for the course for Slate.
I'm just saying, maybe they should like change their name to NAMBLA Today or something, because it seems like anytime that comes up, they're like, pedophilia. I mean, I'm just thinking either whoever's at the helm of that magazine is either a very devout Mohammedan Muslim, or they are part of NAMBLA and just ready to come out about it. I'm not sure which, because anytime pedophilia comes up, they're all about it. Don't discount it. It's not that bad. You're talking about somebody doing things to children. Yes, it is that bad.
Right. Hey, I wanted to mention one other Astro that I completely forgot to talk about, which I think is really important for people to realize, that they can always go after their dreams and they can work hard, and life can change in a second, because Evan Gattis, 10 years ago, like yesterday, when he wins the World Series, 10 years before that, on that day, he was a janitor. He had given up on baseball. He had lost hope in life. He was extremely depressed and was going through all sorts of mental health issues. And he spent the next several years trying to figure that out. And less than a decade later, he is an integral part of a World Series championship team. And that is just really something cool. So people need to remember that even if it seems really low and seems dark, there's always more. There's always more to fight for.
The only time there ever really isn't anything left to fight for is when you give up and decide to do something that keeps you from being able to experience tomorrow. And that's what that story teaches you, because I mean, he could have, when he was a janitor and going through all kinds of mental illness issues and whatever else was going on, he could have just called it quits. And he never would have been where he is right now. And that's one of the things that, I mean, I've had friends that have gone through that, and that's one of my points that I always try to make with them. You don't know what tomorrow is going to be. So no matter how dark today is, just don't give up on the fact that tomorrow might be better. But on that note, we are officially out of time. Why don't you remind folks where they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me?
Come find me on Twitter at jhomestead, and check out misfitspolitics.com, and join us tomorrow night for Mischief.
All right, folks, I will be back here in just a second with America Off the Rails, the Thursday edition. We'll be right back.